Hi everyone, I hope you're doing really well and I hope you're enjoying these projects. Now, today's lesson we are going to start looking at how to develop our own little maze catching game, okay? So the first thing we're going to concentrate on is our background and how to develop a background so it almost looks like the character has to run around the maze. So I'm going to go over to the far right here just to where the backdrops are, and instead of going to this little one here, choosing, I'm actually going to go and paint my own backdrop, okay? So click onto it and you'll notice that your screen looks like this, okay? You've got all these different symbols here that are different tools that you might want to use to develop your background. So first things first, I'm going to think about the actual colour of the background. So I'm going to use this flood fill. So this is the same like as when you're using paint programs and things like that and other bits of apps or software. So I'm going to go across, I'm going to choose, I'm going to go for black because I want to be able to see mine. And all I'm going to do, when I touch on the screen, have you noticed that it won't fill it in? So I'm going to go down here to convert to bitmap and I'm going to fill the screen in, okay? So now you can see on the right hand side my character, my sprite is on a black backdrop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and select a colour for my walls, and it's got to be contrasting, which means it's got to show up compared to the colours that I've got. So I'm going to go for I think I'm going to go for a red. Really bright and vibrant, and I'm going to go and click on my line. Now this here allows you to make your line thicker or thinner, so I'm just going to show you. If I go down, if I go right down, you can see the walls are different widths, okay, thicknesses. If I click undo, 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 that means it'll allow me to get rid of any errors I make. So don't think when you do this that you'll do it perfectly first time. You might even want to get a piece of paper and draw your lines of where they're going to go. So my character is going to come on here, so I'm going to put a line here. I'm not going to make it too hard. I'm just going to pull it down and let it go. Remember, if I make a mistake, that's fine. I can just go back. I'm going to put my line here. Put my line here. I'm going to put them at angles, but we're not going to put them at angles. We're going to have either vertical lines, which are these lines coming down, or horizontal lines going across. So remember, don't make this level too difficult. You know, give yourself a chance. So I'm looking at this bit here. I think I'm going to bring that down to there and that across to there. So I've got a few different options of how I want my character to move. So the next job is I'm just going to pick up my little sprite. My sprite's going to start here, come round. I'm just going to see if it can get around, and I want the character to get over to this part here. Okay, so that's going to work. Now I'm just going to click on my backdrop again so you can see it. I'm happy with that. If you make a mistake, don't worry. Press this little back key here, okay, if there's any errors that you've got on here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go click on my sprite and I'm going to click to code. I don't particularly want that character there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and choose a character that I might want to get around my grid. Okay. So the next part I'm going to look at is creating my sprite, my character that I want. I don't want this one here. So I'm going to go down to my sprite. That's the one I've got. Don't want that one. I want to go and create my own. So I'm just going to go over to the cat face, up past that magnifying glass, up to your little pencil. And I'm going to again convert to vector. This will help me create my character a little bit more. Now what I want to try and do is keep my sprite as central in the middle as you possibly can, and if you have to click the undo button because you make a mistake, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly click on my yellow because I want yellow for my, and I'm going to draw the outline of my character. Then I'm going to go to my pencil and I'm going to go to no fill, no colour whatsoever, and I'm going to just draw the bit and take a chunk out as if I'm taking a bit of the shape out. So last thing I'm going to do is just add in, I'm just going to put a friendly eye in. I've just gone to my colours and I've just chosen blue. You can choose the colour you want. I'm going to click on my pen. I'm just going to make sure that my the size of my pen is what I want it to be. I might go a bit bigger actually. Did you see how I just held on that up arrow, and I'm going to put my little dot there. So there is my character, my sprite ready to go. I'm going to go and get rid of the cat. So I'm just going to click on the cat and go, right, get rid of you. Now, this is where we're going to start coding and programming our little Pacman, if you've spotted him. If you've already played this type of game before, that's brilliant. So you've got a bit of a head start. I'm going to go and click on code. And the first thing is when he moves around this track, he is a bit big. So I know that's a look. How he looks is going to be what I go for first. So I'm just going to go down and I'm going to set size to, okay? Set size, half of 100 is 50, so I want him half the size. I'm just going to click the code and just see if he fits. A little bit smaller. So this is called debugging. Just checking that what you've got, I'm going to go a bit smaller again, 30. Now this number might differ for yours, depending on your track or the way you've got your little entrances and lines set up. I'm just going to check that when I pull my sprite around, he can physically get through. Just maybe there. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to pop him back there. So I've got that, set my size to. I'm going to get rid of that now because I know I'm happy that he is the size that I want him to be. So what we need to start thinking about now is how to get this Pacman, the sprite, to move around the screen and under control. So when we are walking forwards, we have to be looking forwards. So what we want to do is try and make sure that this sprite is looking the correct way. So the first thing we're going to do is go over to our motion button and we're going to go to point in direction of. Okay, we want that character, if I get this spinning wheel, to always be looking towards 0. Okay, looking forwards. We also want to make sure that our character, our sprite, starts in the position that we want it to. So we've had a go at using this button, a similar button, when we have done our ball, when we've moved our ball in the ball game. But what I want us to do for this one is to think about setting where the character starts. Okay, so what I want you to do is just look at this button here, these numbers. Just as I move the sprite down the page, you can see the numbers, the coordinates they're called, change. So where that character, that sprite, is positioned on the screen. So I want the character to start here. So I'm going to pull this over. Every time I start the game, I want it to be looking forwards and I want to make sure that it starts in that corner. So I'm going to get my events button and I'm going to get my flag and pop that at the top. Now, I want this sprite to follow my mouse pointer. So this is the next part of the code that we're going to look at, okay? And it's all to do with making sure that the sprite follows exactly where I want it to follow, okay? So we're going to go over to our control button. I'm going to get this forever loop. Whenever the game is playing, this sprite will follow my directions, okay? We're going to go back up to our motion button, up the blue there. And I want it to point towards the mouse pointer. So I'm just going to get that. I'm going to stick it in there. Okay. Forever. Always look at the mouse pointer. But when you're looking at the mouse pointer, I want you to, did you see I went and grabbed that move button? I want you to move one step. So to get this code to run, I'm going to press on this green flag at the top and watch what happens. Can you see how the character moves as I guide it? So what I want you to think of here, I'm just going to press stop. Which bit of this code would make the character speed up? Okay, so how would I make the sprite move a little bit faster around my maze? Have a think and I will tell you in the next part. Yeah, you're right. If I look at how quickly that character moves, so for example, if I change that to 10 now and I press go, you can see that it follows really quickly and it's almost impossible. So you want to be getting that speed. If you want it to be an easy level, obviously 1, but if you want to make it a little bit harder, you can do. Okay? So now I've got the character, the sprite, moving around the maze. I'm going to start making it a little bit more interesting because I want to make the game a little bit harder. So what I want to do is I want this Pacman, when he touches the walls, that he will be sent back to the beginning of his game. So he has to stay in the maze, okay? I'm also going to do a bit of debugging because I don't like how quickly my Pacman does move. So what we're going to do in this next part is we're going to use something called a sensor. So as we're going down, you might spot these sensors at the bottom here. So I'm just going to pull the second one in. So I'm going to say when Pacman sprite is touching the red walls, something's going to happen. So this is obviously not red. So I'm going to touch on here. I'm going to go and click on this little button here. And I'm going to go over to my screen and I'm going to hover until I'm on a red. And then when I'm happy, I'm going to click red. So the red is exactly the same color. If the shade is slightly different, then it won't work. Okay, you've got to get the color that you've used on here. So I'll bring that down here. We're going to go across to my control button because I need to have some kind of statement. So for example, if it is raining outside, you wear a coat. If it is cold, you wear your hat. If you touch the red wall, I'm going to do something to you. So I'm going to pull this across here and I'm going to pop this bit of code. Just can you see hover over just that little nook there. If you touch the red brick wall, then what is going to happen? This is where we fill this in. I'm going to motion. Send you back, so put your Pacman where you want him to go back to, go to. Now this if loop I'm going to put inside here. If it's written as separate code, what happens is this runs and then this will run, but I want it all to be running at the same time. So I'm going to just put that in here. It's got to be in this forever loop here. It doesn't matter if it's at the top or bottom. So now when I touch my code, oh, I was going to just change that one bit, wasn't I? So that it's a bit harder. I'm going to say 5. Oh, did you see I touched the wall? See if I can get you round. This is going to be a bit more. Oh, I touched the wall. So 5 probably is too hard, so I'm going to try 3. So investigate with yours what will make your Pacman move quick enough for it to be interesting, but not too quickly that it's impossible. So if you want to add extra levels to this work, then you can go into your backdrop and you can add in additional backgrounds. So I'm just going to go to paint again. Now, I've spotted here I've got 2 empty backgrounds because I'm just going to get rid of background 3 and I'm going to get rid of background 1. Make sure you keep the 1 here because you can't undo it if you take it off. Keep this backdrop here, but what I'm going to do here is if I hold down on it or if I right click, I can duplicate this background, but I can change it if I want to. So I'm going to keep this red. I think I'm going to go back to my lines. And I think it was, let's have a look. I think I'm going to just colour some of like my lines in black. I'm going to get rid of this one, and I think I'm going to get rid of that one. I'll keep that one there. And I've kept that one there for a reason because what I'm going to do is I need to colour, keep the colour the same. So I'm going to go back to my fill to draw my lines, my other lines. I'm going to drop on that pep and I'm going to just come here, get that same red colour. So I'm going to draw a line. The character's going to start here. I'm going to send it a different way though. I think I'll make it come down and then go up, come down again. So it's got to really be careful through this section here. And I'm going to add that line right into there. Let's have a little bit more of a look. It's almost like a slalom. Now can you see I've mucked that one up, so I'm just going to click undo, undo. I don't like that. I think I'll do a slalom here as well. And see if it can get to this one. I'm going to see if it can get to something. So I'm going to go into my sprite menu, I'm going to go into my looks, and I'm just going to get an apple. I'm just going to place that at the end. Okay. So have fun testing out your game. See if you can get an adult to have a go at it and see if they can work out how you've programmed it. Okay. But remember, if you need to change the size of your sprite because your sprite is too big, pop down to your sprite, go back over to your looks button and just set the size of your sprite again. So again, he's 100% now, so I might change him down to 80% just to make him a bit smaller. Oh, look, he's gone too big, so sorry, that would have been 40%. Let's see. Let me get him back. There, maybe a bit smaller, 25. There, make it a little bit easier to get around. Okay? Have fun, enjoy yourself, and I'd look forward to seeing what you've made.